What's going on YouTube? This is DestinyHeroic, and as promised, I am coming at you today with my prophecy deck profile. I got enough likes on the other video, so I am now gonna show you what I've been using for prophecies. Alright, so first off, obviously the obligatory 3 spellbook magicians. It's a good opening turn play. Gets whatever spellbook you think you might need. I use 3 High Priestess, Boss Monster. I don't think there's any version of this deck that is competitive that doesn't use the High Priestess, so 3 of them. 2 Temperance. I'm only using 2 because with the release of Abyss Rising, it's become searchable. And with its level restriction, its summoning restriction, you can only really use it once per turn. So you don't really want to have your hand clogged with too many of these. 3 Breakers. Breaker is a champion in this deck. Used in conjunction with things like Spellbook of Wisdom and Spellbook of Power. He is a beast. You can easily wipe 2 cards from your opponent's backfield with that combination, and if you have a Spellbook of Power as well, you can gain another spellbook back, so he's really good. I use 2 Effect Veilers. Not so much actually for his pitch effect. His pitch effect is good in the right matchup, like against a wind-up matchup, it's good. But the fact that he's a spellcaster and a tuner adds another layer of playability to him, which I'll get into in a minute. I use 1 Stoic. This is generally going to be your search after a destroyed tower. I use 1 Apprentice Magician. That's mostly to keep up my defenses, and when he's destroyed, I can go get a Stoic, or I can go get an Effect Veiler if I want to use it as a tuner, or I can go get one of my Prophecy Magicians, or my Spellbook Magicians, because when the Spellbook Magician is flipped face up, you get to search, so he keeps up the defense and lets you plus off it. Also, in a pinch, he can recharge Breaker's counter, or put a counter onto the Star Hall, which I'll show you in a minute. So he's pretty good. I tech 1 Magical Exemplar. The reason I use this is so I can, if I've only seen 1 Temperance of Prophecy, I can use 2 spellbooks or a couple of spells and revive it out of the graveyard and immediately pitch it for a High Priestess. And she lets me do other things like bring up my Apprentice Magician if I need the defense and replace a counter on her. I can also get Effect Veilers if I want to go for a quick Synchro Summon. And to close out the monsters, there's 2 Trags. Trag is in here because I consider a good opening turn play to be an attack mode Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. So you'll be taking some damage off of that, and to drop a Trag in the face of your opponent when you'll have like a 6-card hand, Trag comes down at 3,600 and stymies the rest of their turn. Trag also has, being level 10, also has another use in the deck, which I'll get to. So into the spell lineup, start with spellbooks. The obligatory Spellbook of Secrets at 3. Having 3 of these is just essential to this deck, as is Spellbook of Wisdom. This is probably my favorite spellbook card, and the fact that it's quick play just makes it even better. If you summon a Breaker and they try to bottomless it, you play this from your hand, make Breaker immune to traps, and then you pop another face down. And then if they have a reasonably sized monster, you can play a Spellbook of Power on Breaker, kill something, deal some damage, and search out a Spellbook of Secrets. So you can cost your opponent, you can grind out a lot of your opponent's cards using this. 2 Spellbook of Life. The reason I run 2 is because it has a pretty steep activation requirement. You need to have at least 2 spellcasters in the graveyard and another spellbook in your hand. And because this is so searchable and because of that requirement, you only really need to use 2. And if you need to use it a third time, you can always recycle it with your spellbook combos and your spellbook tower. Spellbook of Power, same deal with Spellbook of Life. It's highly searchable, so I'm only using 2. I've only ever really needed 2. I use 1 Spellbook of Eternity. With Priestess, banishing spellbooks from your graveyard, you can use this to add them back to your hand and keep certain loops going. I use 2 Spellbook Star Hall. This is mostly to use in conjunction with your spellbook towers, which I might as well show you. I'm using 3. But the Star Hall is, if you have this alongside a tower, you've got a major deterrent against your opponent playing a Heavy Storm on you. Because this will search out something and put it on the field, this will search out something and put it in your hand, and their Heavy Storm, instead of becoming a +2, becomes a -2. The reason I use the 2 Star Halls, though, is for the attack boost of the spell counter effect. And I'll show you a combo at the end of the video that involves the spell tower and this. And obviously the spellbook tower needs no explanation. It gives you basically 2 draws per turn and puts things like Spellbook of Power and Life back in your deck for you to search out again. Honestly, I'm using 3 because people in my locals like to destroy it even though I get a search out of it. To be perfectly honest, though, you could get away with 2 if you want to fit other stuff. 2 Wonder Wands. This is really nice when you have a spellbook magician play and you play this on it and draw 2 more cards. This is especially good if you have a Trag in your hand, which is probably something you were going to drop anyway, but now the Trag comes down at 42 instead of 36. And in terms of staples, I'm using Heavy Storm, obviously, to clear your opponent's backfield of traps. Book of Moon is really nice if used in conjunction with Spellbook Magician. They go to attack it, you flip it face down, and you get another book search. Reborn and Dark Hole for power cards. Into the extra deck. The extra deck you don't really use all that much, but it's basic. I've designed it to be kind of a what-if situation. You can make rank 2s a lot, so I'm using the 2 best rank 2s we have right now. Rank 4s, 2 breakers can make either of these guys. Rank 3s, sorry these aren't really in order. 2 best rank 3s. You could easily replace one of these with a Leviair Dragon. Book of Life requires you to banish a magician from your graveyard, so you could do a Leviair Dragon instead of Leviathan Dragon if you wanted to. For rank 7s, I'm using both Big Eye and Hierophant. 2 High Priestesses makes one of these things. This is for when they drop Gores on your big play. And this if you just need to... This actually I only use in combos when I need to recycle a High Priestess by putting into the graveyard if I have like a Book of Life or something. So this doesn't come out that much. This comes out a little bit more, but honestly, High Priestess is generally good enough. You don't want to consolidate 2 of them into one of these guys unless you have to deal with a Gores or something like that. And I use 1 Gustav Max. If you drop a Trag and then you Spellbook of Life a High Priestess by banishing a Temperance, she comes up at level 10. and you can make a Gustav Max. That's not a goal of the deck. I consider it to be more of a finishing move or a bonus of the deck. This is by no means something you should strive to do. And I use a Synchro Complement, 2 level 5s, the Ally of Justice and Hyper Librarian, Black Rose and Arcanite Magician. Arcanite Magician is for when you, if you have an effect failure in your graveyard, you can alter the level by using the Spellbook of Life, and then make an Arcanite Magician pretty easily. Same with Black Rose Dragon, and for level 8s, Stardust and Scrap Dragon. You don't really make level 8s or Synchro Summon all that much in this deck, but like I said, it's for... I've built it in a sort of what-if scenario. So, I mentioned a combo, which I'll show you. It uses... It's a 4-card combo. It's not... You can use... There's a lot of searchability in this deck, so you can usually get it together. And a High Priestess. So basically this is going to be your field. You've got the High Priestess, you've got a Star Hall or 2, and you've got the Spellbook Tower up. So basically what you do is, assuming you're starting your turn, there's no counters on this. You play the Spellbook of Secrets and you get Spellbook of Eternity. Secrets goes to the graveyard. You've got 1 counter on this now. You play Eternity, or you banish the book to destroy something with the Priestess, and you play the Eternity to put it back in your hand. You've got 2 spell counters now. And assuming you've got them stunned and they don't do anything, you start your next turn. You use Spellbook Tower to put Eternity in the bottom of your deck, and you draw a card. And you've got the Secrets. You search out the Eternity. That goes to the graveyard. Banish it, blow something up, add it back to your hand. So each iteration adds 2 spell counters to the Star Hall just by using these 2 cards. And this is even better if you have 2 Star Halls up. But mostly it's to pump up your spellcasters. Like if you can get enough counters on this, you can make a breaker close to 2,500, and it just gets really ridiculous if he gets that big. When they have trouble dealing with your 1-drops instead of your special summon Priestess and anything like that. But that's the Prophecy deck. That's the version I've been using. There's no traps in it. I know other people like to use traps in it. But basically I run this as a grinding deck to force your opponent to use all their cards first, in conjunction with things like Spellbook of Wisdom and the High Priestess. My favorite thing that I've seen people do is bounce this with a compulsory, and I just play it right back down again by revealing 3 spell cards. So it's a lot of fun. Let me know what you think. Obviously it's not the best deck, it's not the perfect deck, but if you have any thoughts on how to improve it or anything, let me know. And thanks for watching.